Howdy out there, folks. Today we're going to be looking at Jack Reacher, the film starring Tom Cruise. And this is a flick that is a bit of a mixed bag for me because I feel like there are some really good things about the film. And I want to first just go on record as saying Tom Cruise did a fine job. I know that physically he did not fit the part. And there's, of course, the show on Amazon Prime that features an actor who's much closer to the way the author had written him. However, I would say that Tom Cruise is a much better actor. And I think he does a good job at depicting a person such as this Jack Reacher character without necessarily making him to be some kind of Hercules character. Which, again, I know that that's sort of the intent of the author, but I think if you take the film for what it is and you just go along for the ride, I think you'll find that it's actually pretty sharp in spots and has some real highs. Now, having said all that, I still have a few problems with the movie, but let me first just start off by saying that it's not Tom Cruise. And I want to also point out that the cinematography on this film, Caleb Deschanel is a wonderful cinematographer. He did the lensing on, I want to say, The Right Stuff and The Natural. He's a terrific cinematographer, and he just absolutely lenses this film really without any flaws. It's a beautiful looking movie, and the opening sequence is quite terrifying and well edited as well. It just shows how, you know, when you have a good cinematographer at the helm who knows what he or she is doing, you can make a movie look really impressive without it seeming masturbatory, which I find sometimes with a lot of the newer content that's being released these days. There are all these crazy angles and, you know, interesting movements with the camera, but it's too much. And I think Caleb is one of those cinematographers that just knows how to light and lens a film, and this flick looks fantastic. I also think that Werner Herzog is a terrific villain in the film. You know, it's not a perfectly written villain. I think there's a few moments where if it weren't Werner, I would be a little bit more snickering about the sort of character's motivations and development. But I think he makes it work and is an excellent foil. Then, of course, there is Jai Courtney, who I am not a fan of. I feel like he is an actor who inexplicably continues to get work, but surprisingly enough, in this film, he does what his character is meant to do, and he depicts someone that's very Jai Courtney-like, shall I say, at least his film persona. And so I think in this role he actually does work. I would point those to Terminator Genesis as an example of when not to cast Jai Courtney, and there are several other examples as well, but I digress. I really do feel like the writing on this film is quite good. The action set pieces are terrific. Robert Duvall is in it as well. I just think there's a couple moments where it gets a little hokey, and they could have pulled back and not made it you know, so heavily dramatic. I just think there were a couple moments in the film that just didn't quite work. And it's sad because there are so many other things that did work about the film. If they had just tightened up those few moments, it may have been an all-time classic. As it is, it's just a good action film that's smarter than most, looks a lot better than most, and features a solid performance by Tom Cruise. I also want to point out that Richard Jenkins is in the film as well, as is this actress whose name is escaping me, and I apologize. She, of course, was in Gone Girl. She's terrific in this film, does a great job. There really is some solid acting going on in the film, and again, I just think that just the decisions that they made, the cinematography, it's definitely a much better product than the Amazon Prime series. The Amazon Prime series, they got a guy that looks a lot like the character written by the author, and I think he does an okay job. But there are so many problems narratively with that show, and it's just kind of ridiculous. This seems like it's a little more grounded in reality. So on that note, I'm not sure that I would completely recommend this as a shelf-worthy edition, but I picked this up used for a couple bucks, and I recently revisited it, and I was struck by how many things it got right, and I do think it's worth rewatching, and is a nice example of how you can take some material and cast someone who certainly doesn't meet the criteria and still make a compelling action flick. So on that note, please take care out there, everyone. Stay safe, be kind, and until that next time.